Oh man, a team up of all the Shyamalan characters into one universe? I should do a team up of all the characters from my show for the intro. Let's get them on the phone. Hey, we should do a team up of all our characters for this whole show. It'd be awesome. No. Because you hate me. Huh. Even the comic snob? Especially the comic snob. What a... Oh, you hung up. Okay. Well, that's a hard pill to swallow. Hey everybody, Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard here. It's once again time to talk M. Night Shyamalan.
What? No.
Yes, the long-awaited follow-up to Unbreakable and the start of the Shyamalaniverse, as I've been dubbing it, because it's fun to say. Say it out loud, it's fun. The sequel to Unbreakable and Split is here, Glass. So, just so you know where I'm coming from, I hate Unbreakable. I think it's a terrible movie. It's boring. It's bad. It's just a build-up into the twist. And so once you know the twist, the rest of the movie is just everyone standing around not making any emotions until the twist. And everyone talks really quietly because what they're saying is very important. And just an incredibly paper-thin understanding of comics and what heroes are, made by someone who obviously doesn't read comics. And that's incredibly annoying, too. Like, you don't know the villain because it's the opposite of what you are. Superman's greatest villain isn't a guy with polio. Like, the best villain is someone that's actually just like the hero, but it's a mirror copy. It's the dark version. It's them at their worst. That's the best villain. The opposite. That's dumb. But Split, I actually very much enjoyed Split. I think James McAvoy was fantastic in it. You're not sure where it's going to go. Shyamalan gets rid of a lot of his Shyamalaniisms, and it just becomes a solid movie. And I enjoy that one quite a bit, actually, even on multiple views. So, where does Glass work with this? Well, let's get into it. Well, as mentioned before, it's brought to us by director M. Night Shyamalan.
What a twist!
Who has been on a bit of an upswing in recent years. The Visit was pretty okay, and as I mentioned before, I enjoyed Split. I personally have never been a fan of any of his movies, and yeah, he's had some huge misses in recent years, so he's kind of been on a bit of an upswing from that. So the plot of this is David Dunn from Unbreakable is fully embraced being a vigilante, and he's hunting down the Horde from Split. And they eventually both get captured and put into a mental asylum, where it happens that Mr. Glass from Unbreakable is in there as well. And they kind of work on the idea if they are actually superheroes or have superpowers, or if it's all just in their head. And it's a bit of a study of, mental disorder and, effects that the brain can have on your body. Without giving away any Shyamalanian twists, that's the plot of Glass. So let's talk about the characters. So Bruce Willis returns as David Dunn.
Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis is my...
Or they've been calling him in the movie the Overseer or the Green Guard. They've been switching between the two of them. Neither of them are that great. So if you remember from Unbreakable, you think he's kind of super strong. He seems like he's super strong. And he also has this ability to see people's sin, like look into them when he touches them. And yeah, he's back. I mean, he's older. As I mentioned before, he's kind of fully embraced that he is a hero, so he no longer questions that. Or does he? And yeah, he's kind of there. He's pretty alright. I like Bruce Willis. He does a decent job. Not a lot to say there. And of course we have Samuel L. Jackson returning as Elijah Price, or Mr. Glass. Samuel L. Jackson's having a ton of fun with this, and I think he really loves this character. He's having fun being kind of megalomaniacal and this cackling villain, and it really shows. He's a lot of fun as this character, messing with everyone's minds. He's pretty great, and yeah, he's very enjoyable in this. I don't want to give too much away about him, but he's a lot of fun in this. Then we have the return of James McAvoy as the Horde. Multiple personality disorder person from Split. As I mentioned before, he's amazing in Split, how he switches into the characters, not just his voice, but his body language and his mannerisms. He's so fantastic, jumping into all these characters. James McAvoy is a fantastic actor, and I love watching him. And he's great in this, too. He's jumping between the characters. My one complaint is that they kind of do this bit, which I think they did it only once, maybe twice in Split, where he jumps very quickly between a whole bunch of characters. And they kind of rely very heavily on that in Glass, and I don't know, man. It seems to kind of wear out its welcome kind of quickly once you do that, so there we are. But really, that's not any of James McAvoy's fault, but I think he does a really great job in this as well, and he's a lot of fun. And we're introduced to Dr. Ellie Staple, played by Sarah Paulson, and since I gotta relate everyone to a comic movie, you'll remember her from The Spirit.
What can I say? Last night you were 20 minutes from the morgue, and now look at you. Just look at you. I'd recommend 3 days bed rest, but why waste my breath?
So she's the doctor that comes in, and she specializes in people with a mental disorder that think they're invincible and have superpowers, and she's working around all that, and she's kind of her job to convince them that they don't actually have superpowers. I think she's pretty good. She's does a great job being very relatable to the other characters. She tries to be empathetic and understanding to them and plays off them really well. I really enjoyed her until kind of at the end they did something with her, which I won't talk about, but overall she's pretty good. And then we get, I won't mention everybody and give too much away, but there's characters from both Unbreakable and Split that show back up, and they're all very enjoyable and they generally work well. So what does Glass do well? Well, right off the bat, this movie it grabs you right away. The beginning of this is fantastic. I mentioned before David Dunn has, fully dove into being a vigilante, and he's hunting down the Horde and how they interact with each other. And really the beginning of this is really solid, really drives it in, and you're really ready to go. It starts off very strong, and I enjoyed that a lot. Another thing I liked is they used basically a realistic timeline. This takes place 19 years after Unbreakable, so that's how they explain Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson getting older, is that it takes place in real time in a sense. It's been 19 years since Unbreakable, and this movie takes place 19 years later, and I like that. It fits well. And compared to Unbreakable, overall everyone acts way better in this. They're actually emoting. No one's talking quietly because I'm going to say something very important. We got rid of that. It's, much better acting. Everyone's, throwing their all in this, and overall it's just a much betterly acted and interesting movie. And throughout the movie, there's some very solid bits and pieces. A lot of the stuff in the insane asylum works really well. Like I mentioned, the beginning is really awesome. There's some very good bits and pieces throughout this movie that I enjoyed quite a lot. But no movie is perfect. Where does Glass fall short? Well, it does have a Shyamalanian-style twist. And I don't care for it. The whole ending of this is really weak. I won't go into details, but the ending of this is incredibly weak and really hurts the movie a lot. Yeah, I did not care for the ending. And also, throughout this movie, there's some incredibly cringy dialogue.
What? No.
There's multiple times where it's just the doctor explaining what's happening, which is really weird. She's like, they're going down this hallway now, and then they're going to do this, and now we're doing this. And she's like doing it over this voiceover thing, but she's like explaining what's going on, and it's really weird and awkward and incredibly cringy.
You can't just have your characters announce how they feel. That makes me feel angry.
And then there's other incredibly cringy dialogue throughout this movie. It's really weak in that sense. Just, yeah, there's some bad lines, some bad readings. There's some real bad parts there. And just a minor thing, but it really bugged me, is they, of course, bring back David Dunn's poncho from Unbreakable, and you start to learn now that you see it a lot, and especially in the light, it looks incredibly stupid when he's fighting in it. It looks horrible. And, like, he has some major scenes of wearing the poncho again, and it looks just terrible. Why did they keep going with the poncho thing? It's terrible. And for me, one of the biggest faults is it once again brings back the paper-thin understanding of what comics are and what comics do. They're constantly throughout this movie like, well, this is what would happen in this part of the comic, and this means this in a comic, and this is from this a comic, and like, do you not realize there's horror comics and romance comics and action comics and just general adventure comics? There's a whole gamut of different comics. They're not all superhero ones that go A, B, and C. And even the superhero ones, we've had comics for 90 years. So even the superhero ones don't just go standard, oh, we're doing this, this, and this over again. There's more nuance, there's more interesting, and there's just been a constant fight over the years, it feels like, of people like assuming comics are this one thing, general thing, and creators and artists and fans have all been fighting against that to make sure we know, like, no, there's a lot. There's comics for everybody. There's a lot going on, and then something like this comes along and goes, no, comics do this, this, and this. Do you not even read any comics, M. Night Shyamalan? Do you? Because you should probably try reading some comics before you're trying to do this whole parallel to comics and what heroes mean thing. Because, yeah, you're real thin on that. You're not really bringing anything. You have a whole misunderstanding of comic books. A complete misunderstanding of it. And I mentioned before in Split that Shyamalan got away from a lot of his Shyamalan-iness. And one of the big ones is these weird camera tricks. And those are back with a vengeance. He does those weird panny things where it talks to one person, then it pans over to another person.
How are you, Meryl?
Fine.
How was work at the gas station?
Stimulating.
I never got a chance.
And so it's like if you're drunk or something and you can only focus on one person, so you're just like... And it's so annoying, and then there's this one part where it follows a guy, and he walks under the camera and it turns upside down because, get it? His whole world's been turned upside down. Oh, it's so interesting. Oh, yeah, you're so deep. Yeah, a lot of the Shyamalan-iness is back, and I think that's why Split worked out better, is Shyamalan was trying to get away from that, I feel like, to prove he can be a good director and he doesn't have to rely on twists and weird camera tricks and things. He can just do a good movie. And this one's him just right back into that, doing all his Shyamalanian tricks. And yeah, they're incredibly evasive and annoying. Of course, it's a Shyamalan movie, so there's a twist.
What a twist!
So let's talk about that twist. So throw up the spoiler sign here. Jump to this time code here if you want to skip spoilers, because I'm doing some spoilers. So the big twist in this is that the Doctor works for the secret organization that hides superheroes, and these guys all do have superpowers, but it's their job to either hide them or kill them, because gods can't live among men, and that's the twist. And it's incredibly weak. So why Shyamalan worked at all is that he did a twist, but there's a lot that would hint at it and build up to it. Like in Sixth Sense, there's many scenes of people not actually reacting to Bruce Willis, and so when you watch it again, you're like, oh, and that actually really built up to it, and there's things hinting at it, and so it felt like a stronger twist. Even in Unbreakable, although I don't like it, every time they mentioned something like what the villain looks like, how like the villain has a bigger head than his body. Like Mr. Glass's hair and Samuel L. Jackson's hair was supposed to be bigger to make his head look bigger than his body to kind of parallel to that. And you're like, oh, he was the villain. I get it. Yeah, this one didn't have, as far as I could tell, any hints towards that at all. It was just, and now there's a secret organization. It's just a really weak twist. And there's a twist upon the twist.
What a twist!
Where they killed all our heroes, or they killed all the characters, and they did their job, preventing them from getting out and people seeing them, and they did their job hiding heroes. But Mr. Glass was 5 steps ahead of them, and he stole the footage and moved it to his, an off-site server, and then it was released to the world so everyone can see heroes exist. I mean, first of all, if you see a video on YouTube of a guy like smashing a guy into a van and it moves the van and it looks like he's super strength, you're just going to assume it's fake. So I don't think you proved much there, Mr. Glass, so I don't think this area has to worry about it. My only thinking is that this is like to maybe, if he wants to do another one, give an opening towards that. Could go, oh, I was inspired by these videos and now I'm going to be a hero too, or something. Something along those lines, maybe. But I don't know. It just seemed very tacked on, really, and I just wanted to movie the end at that point. But yeah, that was a little tacked on and kind of lame. And yeah, all our characters are dead, so no more Bruce Willis or Mr. Glass or Split. They're all dead. So really, this could be the end of the Shyamalanian trilogy, or it can continue on to new characters. Whatever they want to do with it. I think this will probably be the end of it, though. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. So in the end, Glass, it's kind of crap.
What? No.
But it's not the worst thing in the world. It's got some good ideas and some things going on, but it's got some incredibly huge hindrances of some dialogue, some just terrible deconstruction of comics, and, some kind of goofiness that Shyamalan's known for. So it's kind of crap is the only way. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, it's just sort of crap. So in the end, I'll give it a rating of rental. If you really were into Unbreakable and Split and you want to see where that goes, yeah, it's worth seeing. I don't think this is going to win any new fans, and I don't think people are going to be clamoring for another movie in the Shyamalanian verse after this. So yeah, it's worth checking out. $1 at Redbox or seeing it on Netflix or whatever. It's worth a rental. So, did you guys see Glass? What do you think of it? What do you think of Unbreakable and Split? Let me know in those comments below. Use your Shyamalan twist and give me a thumbs up. Because that's the twist, is you weren't going to give me a thumbs up, but now you are giving me a thumbs up. It's a twist. And share this video with anybody who would be surprised by my twist ending that you gave me a thumbs up. Sure, that works. But I'm Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard. Until next time, hold on to your hold slots.
I'm looking at you through the glass. Don't know how much time has passed. Oh God, it feels like forever. But no one ever tells you that forever feels like home. Sitting all alone inside your head. 'Cause I'm looking at you through the glass. Don't know how much time has passed. All I know is that it feels